The first half of the season is done here in the San Francisco Giants franchise on MLB The Show 24. Our Giants have not quite reached expectations, currently sitting at a record of 43-53. As today, we will briefly go through the All-Star break and make it up to the trade deadline, which will be in the next episode. Last time around was the MLB draft, and in case you missed that one, I will leave the card at the top right of your screen for you to go ahead and check out. Overall, I felt like we had a really successful draft. I had a very clear plan going into it, and I feel like that plan was executed. That's, of course, headlined by Kyler Rodriguez, the first-round Dominican outfielder, who wasn't projected to go until the third round, but I felt like he was not going to make it to our second pick, and if we wanted him, we needed to get him in the first round. I like all the diverse skill sets we were able to add to the minor league system with Rodriguez. He's a big-time lefty bat, arguably the best power-hitting prospect in the entire draft, and somebody who comes in pretty polished for an 18-year-old. Elijah Warren, the second baseman out of Virginia Tech, was our second-round pick. Really good contact bat, really fast. He's got a high floor. Fernando Molina was our third-rounder. This is another older prospect, 23 years old, but I think he's going to be really solid. And then after that, we took shots on upside with Scott Rios, Federico Casillas, and J.J. Green. Today, we will attempt to sign all of our draft picks with $9 million of bonus allotment money. We're going to have to spend wisely to try to bring all of these guys into the farm system officially, and we're going to go through that process a little bit later in today's episode. But before we get any further, I've gotten a lot of questions about the settings I use, whether it's related to gameplay, sliders, and just general settings within the franchise. So I figured I would show you guys all here. If you don't really care about this stuff, I'll put a timestamp in the description for you to skip forward to the actual episode. But basically, I do All-Star for hitting and pitching difficulty. If I did it on a higher difficulty, I would lose by 10 runs every game, and we don't want that. I use traditional buttons for hitting with no PCI, catcher view for hitting and pitching. I like to have it the same so it's consistent, but to each their own, of course. And then for fielding, I have the traditional buttons there as well. In terms of my gameplay sliders, I have everything at the base except for timing and foul frequency, which I have all the way ticked to the left for both user and CPU. And then I have starting pitcher stamina up by 1 tick to the right, again for both user and CPU. I have trade frequency down by 1, simulator injury frequency up by 2, and gameplay injury frequency up by 3. I feel like there's not enough injuries in the base simulation. I will say, though, I feel like our team has been very lucky with injuries. We've gotten a few guys banged up within the last week, but our team has stayed really healthy. But that's not the case with everybody else. I feel like this is more of a realistic injury report with a lot of guys across the organization who are banged up. So with that, we will now enter into the All-Star break, but first we've got one more game beforehand against the Minnesota Twins. We trail 6-5 going into the bottom of the 8th with 2 out, 2 runners on. Tyler Fitzgerald has to stay in the game because nobody else is available off the bench, and he grounds out to third. Minnesota makes the play. Will this be enough for the Twins to win the game? It will not. We would get another opportunity in the bottom of the 9th inning. Still 6-5. Jun-Hoo Lee is on base. 1 out, and a big opportunity at the plate for Trevor Larnach, who was just acquired via trade a couple episodes ago from, ironically, the Minnesota Twins. He's facing off against his old team. Johan Duran on the mound. Is that one? Deflects off of Duran's leg. Larnach is safe at first with an infield single. Tying run is in scoring position, and the winning run is on base. Duran appears to be a little bit banged up, but the All-Star closer will stay in the game for the Twins. And he's going to face off against the veteran Wilmer Flores, who's had a disappointing season, but he's played well over the last month or so. He's gotten the average up to 240, and the OPS a lot closer to where it should be. 2-2, Flores up the middle. This could end it. It's going to be a 4-6. No! The shortstop, Royce Lewis, does not corral in the ball. As the base runner Larnach was sliding in, Lewis was unable to hold on to the ball, and so the Giants get another chance. It's Jorge Soler now, who leads the team with 23 home runs. He's got an opportunity to win it. Patrick Bailey is going to come in the game as a pinch runner for Flores at first base. He is the last guy available on the bench. So it's a 1-2 count for Soler, and he hits it high and pretty deep into left center. Does it have enough carry? Not quite. It's caught at the warning track, And the Minnesota Twins hang on. They win it over the San Francisco Giants, who will enter the All-Star break officially with a record of 43-54. Not quite where we wanted to be at this point in the season, but we have played pretty well over the last week or so, winning 5 of our last 7. But of course, before that, we really struggled, winning, I think, 1 game within the span of the prior 2 weeks. We are closer to last place in the National League than the final wildcard spot, and we're 19 games out of first place in the division. Here's a look at the team stats through the first half of the season. I feel like the offense as a whole hasn't been terrible, but other than Lee and I guess Matt Chapman, nobody else has really stepped up. I think the pitching has been more the issue with this team. Our rotation's been super inconsistent. As you can see, 4 of our 5 starters are cold. And then, of course, the bullpen, this goes without saying. I feel like every other game is being blown by somebody in the bullpen other than Camilo Doval, who's the only guy in the entire pitching staff, starter or reliever, who's been consistent. How many guys could we have in the All-Star break? In terms of our pitchers, only 2 guys have a WAR above 1 with Blake Snell and Logan Webb. Logan Webb has been our best starter this year by far. I don't think his numbers are quite all-star caliber, and unfortunately, he doesn't really have much of a chance to make it this year. Camilo Doval, on the other hand, has had an all-star season as the closer with 22 saves. He is currently 4th among closing pitchers in voting, so he will be an all-star. In terms of position players, we only have 2 guys with a WAR above 1.2, with Jun-Hoo Lee and Matt Chapman. We'll start with Chapman, who's been very productive this year. 13 homers, he's hitting .277, highest OPS of his entire career so far. He's been really productive for us offensively with a WAR close to 4. And with Chapman's contract that he signed in the offseason, he has an opt-out at the end of the year. I'm curious if he opts into it or if he's going to look for a bigger deal. Chapman is nowhere to be seen in the third base voting, despite the fact that he's tied with Max Muncy for the highest WAR amongst third basemen in the National League. They're disrespecting our guy. And then there's Jun-Hoo Lee, who obviously has been unbelievable this year. The rookie sensation is hitting .371 with an OPS above 1,000 for the first time this year, and a WAR at 5.3, playing great defense in center field. His walk rate is above 11%. His K rate is barely at 15%. I mean, he has checked off all the boxes for us this year, and unsurprisingly, he will not only be an all-star, but he will start as he leads the National League in votes among center fielders. I can't think of the guy who's come in as a veteran international free agent and been this good right off the bat since Ichiro, who won the MVP his rookie year. Now, interestingly, he's not the only rookie who is going to be an all-star. Yoshinobu Yamamoto will be the starting pitcher for the National League team. He's 3rd in Cy Young voting, and he currently leads the Rookie of the Year race over Jun-Hoo Lee in what appears to be a generational Rookie of the Year race with 2 of the best rookies of all time. Yamamoto's WAR is nowhere near Jun-Hoo Lee's, but the fact that he's ahead of him makes me think that Jun-Hoo Lee doesn't really have a chance to win this award because he's already hitting .370 now. There's no way he keeps this up in the second half of the year, right? Well, maybe he does. His average has gone up every month. 300 in April, 354 in May, 432 in June, and his average in July is probably even higher than that through the first couple of weeks. I don't expect him to hit above 370, but the average has gone up each and every month, so you never know. We might legitimately have the second coming of Ted Williams on our roster. That'll bring us to the Home Run Derby. Unfortunately, no Giants as Jorge Soler barely misses the cutoff. Of course, it is in Texas this year, home of the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers, with a couple of hometown heroes in the Derby with Corey Seager and Adolis Garcia. Amongst the other notable contenders, we've got some more familiar faces, guys like Shohei Ohtani, Matt Olson, Max Muncy, Aaron Judge, along with some younger guys and newcomers with Nolan Gorman, the young second baseman for the Cardinals, and Alex Bregman, who, as far as I'm aware, has never participated in a home run derby. So we're going to simulate through the derby, see who ends up winning. Leave your predictions down below in the comments. And ultimately, the winner would end up being Adolis Garcia. The hometown guy wins it for the Rangers faithful as he beats Shohei Ohtani in the final round. Adolis Garcia looks like he does not want to be there at all, but he's going to hold up the trophy. I don't know if he... Oh, now he's excited. Okay, there you go. All right, that'll now bring us to the All-Star game, but first we've got to take a look at the All-Star rosters. Before that, though, we're going to get offered a trade here from the Royals. I expect a lot of trade offers here in July, and they're going to offer us Garrett Hampson, a guy who I kind of looked at before we got J.P. Crawford, but with him being added to the team, we don't really need a guy like Garrett Hampson, especially for one of our better prospects in Carson Whisenhunt. All right, let's take a look at the All-Star roster. Here are the National League pitchers, headlined by the rookie Yoshinobu Yamamoto. As for the relievers, of course, as we talked about, Camilo Doval makes his second career All-Star team. He made it last year, and he's back this year, hopefully the second of many. Of course, Doval is our only pitcher here, which is to be expected because, well, nobody else really deserved it. In terms of catchers, the reigning All-Star Game MVP, Elias Diaz, is back. In the infield, no Matt Chapman. Not a surprise, but still a little disappointing. And then in center field, of course, as we talked about earlier, Jung-Hoo Lee will be starting in the All-Star Game as a 25-year-old rookie. Very exciting for Jung-Hoo Lee, who is quickly becoming one of the faces of this team and this rebuild. As for the American League, the starting pitcher will be Andrew Heaney. Who would have thought? Some interesting names here, including Michael Lorenzen, and this one is especially interesting because I was going to have us sign Michael Lorenzen at the beginning of the year, but then the Giants signed Blake Snell in real life, so I figured I would do that. But Lorenzen has been better. His WAR is lower than Snell's, oddly enough, but, I mean, he made the All-Star team. He has been better. As for the position players, Nicky Lopez with 0 home runs, hitting .226 makes it. MLB The Show can be weird about some of the really bad teams. There's Aledmys Diaz for the Athletics. Some of the teams who have nobody good get like the worst players rather than how it is in real life where they get a random reliever. Apparently there's no more All-Star games for the minor leagues. That's kind of unfortunate. So I'll give a shout out to some of our top minor leaguers here in terms of WAR. And now with that, we will hop into the 2024 Major League Baseball Midsummer Classic, the All-Star Game here in Texas. So for those of you who have not watched one of my MLB The Show series in the past, what I like to do for the All-Star Game, rather than play out the whole game, is that I player lock the moments where our players are in the game. So for example, here today, we are going to player lock all of Jung-Hoo Lee's at-bats, and then we're going to pitch an inning with Camilo Doval to see what he can do. Should be a fun one here as the National League with Jung-Hoo Lee in the back right corner. He's hiding from everybody. Faces off against the American League with the lefty, Andrew Heaney, getting the start, just as we all expected. I guess somebody needed to step up with the loss of Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer to injury. And credit to him, he's made himself a lot of money this year, being a free agent at the end of the year with a 2.7 ERA and a 1.05 whip, strikeout rate at 24%, walk rate at only 6% for the veteran righty who's been in the league for a while but has finally put it all together here in a contract year with the contending Rangers. He'll look to retire the side in the first. He does allow a base hit to Ronald Acuna, but nothing more. As for Yoshinobu Yamamoto, rough start. 3-run blast for Yordan Alvarez, and it's 3-0. He allows another hit to Seager and another hit to Guerrero. He is getting rocked and finally gets out of the first inning. As we go into the second, another strong frame here for Heaney. He would retire the side. Normally the starting pitcher goes 2 innings, but Yamamoto was dreadful in the first, so we're going to replace him here with Mitch Keller, and his inning would go a lot better. Into the third now, Jung-Hoo Lee will lead off the inning. He's batting in the 8 hole. Instead of facing off against Heaney, it'll be Christian Javier at the Houston Astros, who's had a big bounce back after a disappointing season last year. Count is full here for Jung-Hoo Lee, and he rips it up the middle. That'll go for a base hit. So fittingly, to start the All-Star Game, Jung-Hoo Lee rips a single into center field, and Major League's batting leader is on board here with a hit. We'll see if his National League teammates can drive him in, though. Max Muncy draws a walk. 2 on, nobody out. Horner grounds into a fielder's choice. Christian Yelich drives in Lee. Off of the single, it's 3-1. And Javier gets through the rest of the inning as we go into the bottom of the third. Sonny Gray, the veteran of the Cardinals, is back in the All-Star Game, his 4th career appearance. He retires the side. Aaron Savale is now in for the Rays, who they got last year at the deadline, as he allows a 2-run homer by Trey Turner to tie the game. Jung-Hoo Lee is now up here with 1 away. A lot has changed since his last at-bat, as we are knotted up at 3. What hasn't changed is that Jung-Hoo Lee still rakes. Another base hit for Lee, a single into right, and he is 2 for 2 so far here in the All-Star break, continuing his impressive performance. Can his National League teammates drive him in again? Muncy with a single. Horner with a fielder's choice. And Yelich is unable to bring him in. So we're still tied at 3 off the homer by Turner. Aaron Nola is in here in the bottom of the 4th. Just his second career All-Star nod. He would allow a base hit to Guerrero, but nothing more as we go to the 5th. Tanner Bibby is in the game. Our Giants mashed off of Tanner Bibby a couple of weeks ago, but he still makes it here. He gets through the inning. Shohei Ohtani now on the mound. No Tommy John for Shohei because he is a cyborg. Into the 6th, Michael Lorenzen. The former almost San Francisco Giant is in the game. And now we're going to start to bring in some of the bench bats. Lindor with a single, replacing JT Realmuto will be behind the plate. Keibert Ruiz, he will pop up. We're going to give Jun-Hoo Lee one more at bat, though, because, well, I feel like it. And Lee pops this one up over to third. Jose Ramirez is under it, and he will make the play. And that'll be it for Jun-Hoo Lee's first All-Star appearance. He goes 2 for 3 with a pair of singles and a run. Pretty good showing. Manny Machado with a big at-bat with 2 away. He grounds into a fielder's choice. Bottom 6, it's now up to the bullpen here for the National League team. We're going to start with the flame-throwing lefty, Jose Alvarado, who allows a single and a 2-run blast to Corey Seager. The American League is back ahead 5-3. We're going to yank Alvarado now, and we're going to replace him by Adbert Alzolay of the Chicago Cubs. He's really turned into a good player out of their bullpen. Into the 7th now. We'll be continuing to use the bench as Ketel Marte will come in to replace Nico Horner at second base, and he'll face off against Emmanuel Clase. These two guys were teammates in the Guardians franchise here on the channel back in MLB The Show 22, and Clase wins the battle. He will get Corbin Carroll to strike out. Replacing Acuna will be the new designated hitter, Jake Berger of the Miami Marlins, and he sends one into the seats with a solo homer, and the National League is back within 1. Christian Walker with a base hit. Okay, things are getting interesting. Big at bat here for Lane Thomas. All aboard the Lane train. And he flies out. So the AL holds on to their lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. It's time for Paul Sewald to pitch. We know him from the Marlins franchise last year. Willie Castro with a base hit. 1st and 3rd. Ryan Mountcastle with an opportunity to drive in a run, and he does. Sewald allows 3 hits. He is going to be yanked. And I think this is where we're going to bring in Camilo Doval. Try to get the National League out of this jam. 2 on, nobody out. Aledmys Diaz is up. He has not necessarily had an all-star season, but he plays for the A's. Marte to Lindor to Walker. 4-6-3 double play. Very quick start to the inning for Camilo Doval. Now against Jake Rogers, the first-time all-star with the Tigers. Skies it up into center. Jun-Hoo Lee is under it. This play starts with Doval, and it ends with Jun-Hoo Lee. The Giants connection. Lee will be pinch hit for in the 8th, while Doval will be taken out as a pitcher. So no more Giants here in the All-Star game. We'll have to see if the National League can make the comeback with Johan Duran on the mound as he allows a single to Lindor. The reigning All-Star game MVP, Elias Diaz, strikes out. And now the final outfielder on the bench, Michael Harris, will come into the game. He strikes out. 2 gone now for Manny Machado, and he grounds out. Into the bottom of the 8th. We only have 3 relievers left available. We're going to bring Joel Payamps of the Milwaukee Brewers in the game. He'll face off against Nicky Lopez, who draws a walk. Salvador Perez in the game. The old man still got something left in the tank. He strikes out. Lopez steals second. Diaz pops up, and now we're going to take him out for David Bednar. Try to get another guy here in the game as he allows an RBI single to J-Rod, and he gets Garcia out. Into the 9th, Nolan Gorman, our final bench bat, is up. He'll face off against Andres Munoz, who looks for the save, and he will get it. Retires the top of the order, and the American League wins the All-Star game by the score of 7-4. The NL won it last year for the first time in like a decade, and the American League takes back what's theirs in their Super Bowl. We were able to get everybody on the team in the game except for Brent Suter out of the bullpen. Brent, I apologize. If you're in the All-Star game again next year, I'll make sure you pitch. Our guys played quite well. Doval with a shutout inning. Jun-Hoo Lee went 2 for 3 with a pair of hits. But unfortunately, our team does not get the win as Corey Seager ends up winning the All-Star game MVP. So the hometown Rangers with quite the day. They had Adolis Garcia win the home run derby. Andrew Heaney got the start in the game. And Corey Seager won the game's MVP. Going into the second half of the season, we're not going to give up. We're going to try to salvage this season, and that's by making some changes pitching-wise. We've got to do something about the rotation and the bullpen because it's been bad. Jordan Hicks was signed as a starter Problem is, he has been god-awful. The strikeouts are down. The walks are ridiculously low. He's doubled the amount of home runs he's allowed in his career and has a negative WAR. He cannot stay in the rotation. So he'll move to the bullpen. We've got a lot of guys pitching well in the minors, and I think I'm going to opt for Sean Jelly, the 6'11" righty who's pitched in the majors in the past. He's been pretty solid. He'll be called up. Spencer Howard will be sent back down to AAA. Tyler Fitzgerald will join him now that we have Thairo Estrada off the injured list. So Hicks will enter the bullpen. Jelly will enter the rotation. Hopefully it works. Otherwise, we've got other guys in the minors who we can always try as well. We're going to simulate through this series against the Rockies, leading up to a 4-game set in LA against the Dodgers. In this first game against the Rockies, we will get an opportunity to hop in. We're up by 1, top of the 8th, 2 on, 1 away for Sterling Thompson. As that one gets away from Sable, both runners advance, and now there's guys on second and third with Luke Jackson on the mound. He has the shortest leash of any reliever here. He's got to perform well or else he's going down to the minors. As he gets Thompson to go down looking, Sean Boucher, first pitch swinging into center. Jung-Hoo Lee should be under it, and he will. Jackson gets out of the jam as it's 6-5 going into the 9th, and the Rockies have a chance to win the game. McMahon is on first. The winning run is up. It's Chris Bryant who crushes it into left. If it's fair, it's gone, and it's just barely foul by around 3 feet. Camilo Doval is awfully lucky there as he gets Bryant to go down looking on the high cutter. Elias Diaz now on the ground. This could do it. Estrada to Crawford. Over to Flores, and the Giants win their first game post-All-Star break, 6-5. We would lose the last 2 games, though, against the Rockies. We're 44-56. We're only a game ahead of the Rockies, which is kind of embarrassing because the Rockies are really, really bad. That brings us into this 4-game set against the Dodgers. I think I'm going to pitch in this second game. I want to get an opportunity to pitch with Blake Snell. I think I've only used him once this year. We lose the first game 10-3. A disaster class from Logan Webb. He did not pitch well at all. 2 1/3 innings, allowing 6 runs. And so we're going to hop into this second game. The Giants are 44-57, losers of 3 in a row, facing off against the Los Angeles Dodgers, who, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, are amongst the best teams in baseball. Obviously, we want to win this game because, well, we want to salvage our season. But also, the Dodgers are obviously a big rival, and we've performed fairly well, all things considered, against the Dodgers throughout the year so far. So hopefully we can keep that going. It's not the nicest day outside, but still good enough for some baseball as we take a look at both lineups. As for the Dodgers, they'll be rolling with the superstar, Shohei Ohtani, 13-1, 2.8 ERA, 1.34 WHIP. You're probably asking, how is Shohei Ohtani pitching 9 months removed off of Tommy John surgery? My answer, I don't know, other than the fact that this guy is not real. That's my only explanation. He will strike out Jorge Soler on the slurve. Nice pitch there by Ohtani. As we take a look at Blake Snell, his first year with the Giants has been very up and down. The ERA is above 5. I know that's not good. I feel like that doesn't tell the full story of Snell's season. I feel like he's been better than the numbers suggest, and he's been fairly unlucky as Crawford bobbles this one from Freddie Freeman, who is safe at first. It'll be an E6. It's been a rough year for Freddie Freeman. He's been injured for a large chunk of the year, and when he's been healthy, he's hitting .220. Miguel Rojas grounds it to third. Chapman, Estrada, over to Flores. It's a 5-4-3 double play, as that'll bring up Mookie Betts, who's been fantastic again, per usual, and he goes down on the curveball. What a pitch by Blake Snell, who gets out of the first inning, as we have no score going into this second. Wilmer Flores leads things off here for San Francisco, and he sends a rocket over Shohei's head for a base hit into center. 119 off the bat. My goodness, that thing came off quick. J.P. Crawford up for the Giants. He's played pretty well over the last month or so. The change of scenery's done him well as Betts makes an incredible play for a double play. Mookie Betts is also not from this planet. He is unbelievable. Bottom 2, Ohtani goes down on the slider. Little lefty-on-lefty crime. Snell with his second strikeout of the game. Now Teoscar Hernandez with a grounder to third. Chapman looks to make the play. Throw to first is barely in time. Chapman was slow to get to that ball. Hernandez nearly beats out the throw. Jason Hayward, 2-2. Hits it well into the gap. Snell looks to get him with the outside slider, but he mislocates it a little bit. and J-Hay capitalizes. A horrible throw here from Lamont Wade will send Hayward over to third with a triple. And so now the Dodgers have a runner 90 feet away from home off of a really bad defensive play. After a walk, there's runners on the corners for Trey Sweeney. The 1-2. Swinging a miss. Outside slider. Got him. And the former first-round pick is retired. Snell gets out of the jam. I don't know what was he coughing? Stay away from him. 6 feet. As we move into the third, Blake Sabol is up. Grounds it over to second. Fielded cleanly. Another 1-2-3 inning for Shohei Ohtani, who's looked really good so far in what has been a pitching duel up to this point as we go to the bottom of the third. Only 1 hit for both teams so far. We'll see if the Dodgers can change that. The catcher, Diego Cartaya, leads things off. Former top prospect gets that one by the diving glove of Wilmer Flores for a single into right. And so the Dodgers lead off the inning with a runner aboard, and now the top of the order's up. 1 away, runner on second for Miguel Rojas, who goes down on the circle change. Blake Snell's got one of the best breaking balls in baseball, showing it here, but now he's got to face off against Mookie Betts. 3-2. Inside slider does not fool him. That's a walk. 2 on, 2 away. It's showtime. Shohei Ohtani is up. The 1-2. Got him on the slider. Shohei Ohtani over 1.5 strikeouts. I hope Ippei had that in his parlay today as Snell gets out of another jam and this game remains scoreless into the fourth. Soler up the middle. Base hit. Jorge Soler continuing to have a solid season offensively. The average is a little bit lower than expected, but he's still hitting for great extra base power as he rips a single here early in the inning. Lamont Wade is up now with 1 away. He's ahead 3-1. Gets a good pitch to swing, but he grounds it right to short. 6-4-3 double play, and Shohei Ohtani gets through another scoreless inning as this game goes to the bottom of the fourth, still tied at 0. Teoscar Hernandez leads the inning off with a single into left. It seems like the Dodgers are the ones who are starting to hit the ball a little bit better. They've got an early runner for Hayward, and he puts it right on the ground. Crawford flips it to Estrada over to first for a double play. When these teams have gotten base runners today, they've immediately put the ball on the ground for the other side to turn to. Let's move to the fifth, still scoreless. Wilmer Flores draws a walk. Tough pitch to lay off, especially with 2 strikes. Credit to Flores, who has reached base twice. The rest of the team has reached base twice combined. J.P. Crawford goes down looking on the low fastball. 1 away now for the third baseman, Matt Chapman. He rips this one into the opposite field. That'll go for a hit. The runner could have advanced to third if he wasn't as slow as molasses. So Flores is going to stay at second. 2 runners on base for the first time all day for the Giants, and it's Yastrzemski. Single into right. Bases are loaded. What an opportunity now for the Giants to finally put themselves on the board. That'll bring up the second baseman, Thairo Estrada, who's ahead 3-1, and he lines it into right. It is caught by Pages. Runner looks to tag up. Throw to the plate is in time. The Giants had the bases loaded, and they do nothing with it. Where have I seen that before? Bottom 5, Trey Sweeney goes down looking on the circle change. Another punch out for Snell as he now faces off against Diego Cartaya. Full count for the catcher, and he goes down on the circle change. This is the high end of Blake Snell. There's been no consistency from him this year, but he's had some really good starts, just like this one. Freeman with a grounder to third. Chapman misplays it, but he will make the throw, and through 5, we are still scoreless. Ohtani and Snell continued their duel as we move into the 6th. The Giants got 3 runners on in the last inning with a pair of hits. We'll see if they can get something going here. The catcher, Blake Sabol, leads things off, and he hits this one well into left center field. It's got some carry, and that one will bounce over the fence for a leadoff ground rule double. The Giants are the runner in scoring position with nobody out, and guess who's up? Jun-Hoo Lee, who's 0 for 2 today. He's going to rip this one into left field for a base hit. It's now a 19-game hitting streak for Jun-Hoo Lee with Sabol at third. Runners on the corners, nobody out. San Francisco has to take advantage here. There's no excuse. Jorge Soler is up for the Giants, and he goes down looking again. The slurve from Shohei for the first out. That'll bring up Lamont Wade. If this ball is on the ground, I'm going to lose my marbles. Instead, he gets plunked. Okay, that works. So the bases are loaded again, just like the last inning, and the Dodgers are not going to ride it out with Ohtani. They're going to go to the bullpen and bring in James Paxton. He began the year as a starter, but with the Dodgers rotation getting healthier, he has transitioned to a bullpen role as it's Wilmer Flores up with the bases loaded. He's already reached base twice today as he puts this one in the air into left center field. That one will be caught by Hernandez. Runner looks to tag up that save ball. He is safe at the plate. And finally, we've got runs. A sac fly from Flores driving in Blake Sabol, and it's the Giants on the board first. They lead it 1-0. They can add some more, though. Runners on the corners for Crawford. He's going to bloop this one into left. It's got a chance to drop, and it will not, as Hernandez is under it to make the play. The Giants leave 2 more runners on base, but at least they do finally score. Bottom 6, Mookie Betts launches this one into center field, and the Dodgers are going to get their run back. This game is tied at 1. Solo home run for Mookie Betts, his 21st of the year, 421 feet. Blake Snell was looking to get him on the low curveball, but again he mislocates it, and that proves to be costly as we're knotted up. Ohtani strikes out for a 3rd time today. This time he goes down looking, and now it's Teoscar Hernandez. The count is full. Probably Snell's last at bat of the game, and it's a grounder to second. Estrada will make the play, throw to first in time. What a strong performance here by Blake Snell. 6 innings, 1 earned run. Of course, the homer we just had by Mookie Betts, as this game is still knotted up, now moving into the 7th. Paxton will stay in the game on the mound for the Dodgers. Interesting strategy with Matt Chapman due up. He'll draw a walk. Matt Chapman mashes against lefties. If I was Crawford, I wouldn't want to throw strikes to him either. Austin Slater comes in off the bench to replace Yastrzemski, and he puts it on the ground. Freeman scoops it over to Betts. Back to Freeman for a double play. Austin Slater hits lefties really well, but we did not bring him in the game to do that. Bottom 7, speaking of lefties, Amir Garrett is in for the Giants. He has been fantastic this year. ERA sub-3. Outside of Duvall, he's been the only other guy in the bullpen who's produced as he walks Jason Hayward to lead off the inning, and the Dodgers get an early runner aboard for Andy Pajes, and he goes down looking on the fastball. Doesn't seem to like it, but he does. Trey Sweeney now puts it on the ground. Garrett scoops it up to Crawford. Over to Flores. A double play. 1-6-3. What a play there by Amir Garrett as the double plays continue and we move into the 8th. Patrick Bailey off the bench replaces Sabol as it's a grounder to short. Betts deflects it, but there will be no throw to first. An infield single for Patrick Bailey, and the Giants get an early runner aboard. 1 gone now for the big fella, Jorge Soler. 3-2, and this one is hit well into center. It's going to be close at the track, at the wall. It's gone! 2-run blast for Jorge Soler, showing off that Soler power. 25th of the year for Soler, 415 feet. The dugout is fired up as the Giants lead it 3-1. The decision to keep Paxton in there was perplexing. Jorge Soler mashes left-handed pitching. I don't know why they did that. He's still in the game for God knows what reason. But he does strike out Wilmer Flores. Big inning, though, with the homer by Soler as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Ryan Walker is in the game for the Giants. 4.26 ERA here against Freddie Freeman. Strikes out on the curveball. Great pitch for the second out of the inning. Miguel Rojas is up now. The 2-2. This one is on the ground. It'll go for a base hit. So the Dodgers going to run her on here with 2 away. Tying run is up. And guess who it is? Mookie Betts, who had the home run earlier. Count is full. 3-2. And he draws a walk. Tough pitch to lay off, but he does. James Outman will replace Rojas as a pinch runner. And Taylor Rogers will come in out of the bullpen for the Giants. 4.06 ERA on the season. The exact same ERA as his twin brother Tyler. The Twins are in sync. Huge at bat for Ohtani. He could be the go-ahead run, but he grounds it to second. Estrada makes the play, and San Francisco gets out of the jam as it remains 3-1 and we go into the 9th. Blake Trinan is into the game now for the Dodgers. 2.48 ERA for the veteran righty as he'll face off against Matt Chapman with 1 away and a full count. Productive day for Chapman, a hit and a walk as he draws another one. Tough pitch to lay off. Sinker was in the strike zone, but it's called ball 4. Austin Slater now bloops this one into center. That one will be caught! What a catch by Jason Hayward. The throw is off balance, but it won't matter. Runner goes back to first. Estrada, grounder to second. The play will be made, and the throw to first is in time from Kike Hernandez, who has replaced Outman as a defensive substitution. The two-time closer, Camilo Doval, is in for his 24th save of the season. He'll face off against Jason Hayward here with one away and a 1-2 count as he goes down looking on the sinker, coming in at 95. How are you supposed to hit that? 2 away now for Andy Pajes. The hope of the game comes down to him as it's a grounder to Estrada. Throw to first is in time, and the Giants win it 3-1, your final score. This game was certainly about the pitching from both sides, but our offense made plays when they needed to, specifically the home run in the top of the 8th inning by Jorge Soler, which ultimately ended up being the difference in this game to get us the win. Soler was the only guy with multiple hits. We got base runners on throughout the game, but until that 8th inning, we really weren't all that good with guys on. It didn't matter, though, because the pitching was phenomenal. Blake Snell, 6 innings of 1-run ball with 8 strikeouts, and then the bullpen. Rock solid. This is what we want to see out of the pen on a consistent basis. The Dodgers have one of the best lineups in baseball, but they really didn't hit it well at all. They drew 4 walks, but they only had 5 hits. Mookie Betts was really the only guy who was productive, drawing 2 of those walks, and he was the only run source, hitting the lone home run. We're going to simulate through the rest of this series against the Dodgers, along with a 4-game homestand against the Rockies, but before that, draft pick signing. Here we go. We've got 6 guys to sign with around $9 million to do so, and I think we should be able to pretty easy as long as these guys are interested. We're going to have plenty of money because we drafted under slot value in the first round with Kyler Rodriguez. There's 3 guys with 50% interest now, so we're going to offer them first. Elijah Warren, the second rounder, has signed for $1.6 million. The other 2 guys with at least 50% interest right now are Scott Rios and Fernando Molina. Both of them declined their initial offers, but we're going to have other chances to offer them. Kyler Rodriguez is very close to 50% interest. We're going to be able to offer him during the next cycle. We'll start with Scott Rios. We're going to up his deal to $660K. He says yes. Fernando Molina, we're going to do $823K. He says yes. Our first offer for first rounder Kyler Rodriguez will go for $4 million, and he says yes. Our top 4 picks have signed. We only have our last 2 guys left, and we're going to try to keep getting them more interested towards the end of the signing period. It's also worth noting, look at Kyler's player card. His draft rank for us went from like 12th to 5th. That's pretty cool. There's only 2 days left until the deadline. Both players now have above 50% interest. We'll start with Federico Casillas. We'll give him a deal for $836. He says yes. JJ Green, the last guy here, for $568. He says yes. Everybody is signed with plenty of money to spare. And with that, our draft class for Season 1 is complete, and you guys will get to see their ratings in the next episode. During our simulation, we would get some more trades, starting with a really interesting one from the Rockies. Jordan Beck for Luis Matos. Both guys are 22-year-old outfielders who have had really disappointing seasons, but are big-time prospects in these organizations. I'm not going to say yes. I don't want to make a panic move, but Luis Matos has been disappointing this year, as has Jordan Beck, likewise for Colorado. Donovan Walton, torn MCL and AAA, done for the year. He's not a big-time prospect, but that still kind of sucks. And then the Padres offer is this deal. Rainer Arias for Randy Vasquez. He's played a little bit in the majors. He's played pretty well, but Arias, for now, is our number 1 prospect. That'll likely change once we see our draft picks, so I'm going to say no. During this game against the Rockies, we would be down by 2 in the bottom of the 9th inning with 1 out, and we're going to hop in. And guess who's up? Jun-Hoo Lee, who, to the surprise of nobody, comes up big with a base hit. So now the bases are loaded. The tying run is at second base. The winning run is at first base. What an opportunity for the Giants to hopefully walk it off. Austin Slater, the lefty killer, is up, and he puts it right on the ground. 6-4-3 double play. Rockies win it 4-2. This is a game that the Giants could have had. The bases were loaded, but were unable to do anything. For those of you who didn't watch the Marlins series, you may not know that we were awful with the bases loaded, and I feel like that negative juju has carried into this series as well. We got offered this trade from the Twins, Lamont Wade, who started his career in Minnesota, for Ronnie Enriquez. This trade really isn't too bad. Enriquez is only 23 years old, but I think for now, I'm going to say no, although I was kind of tempted. Jun-Hoo Lee's 22-game hit streak that he's had through the entire month of July is on the line here against the Rockies. His average is somehow continuing to increase. It's now 372 as he's going to fly this one into center. I don't think that's going to have enough carry. And unfortunately, the rookie's hit streak comes to an end at a very impressive 22. That's like a full month's worth of hitting almost. Luckily, the team would get the win by the final score of 4-1. So even though the hit streak is dead, we had a victory. But unfortunately, Luis Toribio tears his groin. That's a big deal. He has been probably our best minor leaguer this year. I was hoping to get him up in the majors by the end of the season, and we might still be able to, but that kind of sucks. So now we're in another situation here against the Rockies. Top of the ninth, up by 1, 2 runners on base. Top of the order up with 2 gone. It's Sterling Thompson with a 2-2 count against Duvall. Swinging a miss on the slider. And this time, the Giants will take this one by the final score of 3-2. Good victory here for San Francisco, whose record as a team is still, unfortunately, very close to Colorado. We are 49-59 now. We split the last 2 games against the Dodgers, and we ended up taking 3 of 4 against Colorado. Not too bad. We ended up going 4-2 across the 6 games we simulated. Our record really hasn't changed all that much since the All-Star break. We're 10 games under at 49-59. We have a better record than the Rockies, which for a little bit we didn't. But after taking 3 of 4 against them, we're now a game and a half ahead of them. Not a whole lot has changed, though, in terms of our standing within the division. We're still in 4th place, and we're still far behind in the wild card hunt, as that brings us to the trade deadline in the next episode. Let me know what you guys think we should do down below. Should we make a big splash? Should we sell some guys? Should we do a mix of buying and selling? Let me know what you think down below in the comments, as that'll wrap up today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.